the October meeting of the Rancho Murieta Board of Directors. Could we start with a roll call, please?
Jim Moore.
Here.
Here.
Martin Cole.
Here.
Barry Shelton.
Here.
Kevin Summers.
Here.
It's noted that Cheryl McAfee and Bob Lucas are absent.
Thank you, Darlene. Do we have the representative from the fishing club here? Do you want to make your presentation?
I would love to.
If you would, could you step over to the microphone and...
I didn't know I was going to be first, but thank you. My name is Mike Mason, lot number 139B, and I am the vice president of the Rancho Murieta Fishing Club. And Rod Solomon, our president, asked the maintenance committee and the board that we enclosed a picture of the boat ramp at Lake Clementia. And it is in badly need of repairs, especially on the right side. There's large rocks. It's basically a safety hazard. On a lot of the blacktop has been washed away. They did a beautiful job on the road up to the lake where they had to stop because of the gravel and the oil. So what we're asking for, let me turn my page here, is a 20 by 40 by 5.5 concrete ramp that we can safely bring our kayaks and our small boats and some of the larger ones into that water without any hazards to people or the vehicles or the boat. The cost of the project, which the fishing club would want to donate $500 or be part of the cost for $500, is $4,500. And we want to do our part to help. So I think that is about it. We do have pictures of the boat ramp, and if anybody has time to walk down there, they'll see what we're talking about.
Can you show me on the map where that's at? Right there behind you?
So Lake Clementia
Right there.
would be here. And the boat ramp, I believe, would be right about.
No, come on down to your left. Come down. Part left. There you go. Right there.
Oh, right in here. Now, a lot of people also, especially the 4th of July when we have our big events, I see lots of folks down there launching boats and kayaks, and it is a safety concern. Any questions?
I do have staff, but
Is this on your extremely long list of projects, Rod?
Yeah, they came to the maintenance committee last week, and the maintenance committee approved the project. The funding would be out of the operating funds for this year. It's below $5,000, and so it doesn't require the board approval for action or to do the work, and they've volunteered to donate $500 towards the project. And so it'd probably be a project that would occur in November. We have to draw down the lake in order to get access to where the concrete needs to be poured, and Rod is trying to coordinate that with CSD.
Okay.
There's some information in the maintenance committee section
right,
here.
that's right. I read that. And then I guess my question to you then, Greg, is did RMA say it's a safety issue, or is it the fishing club that's saying it's a safety issue?
The fishing club brought up the fact that was a safety concern. Rod has agreed that there is a fairly steep drop-off
Right.
once the water level gets drawn down, yes.
Okay.
I think the fishing club ought to be commended for coming up with some money toward that project.
No, we thank you. Yep,
No staff?
we appreciate that.
And you'll want to make that check out to the board president.
Is that outgoing?
It already is.
Is that what that was?
Could you add a zero to it?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the contribution and for bringing that to our attention, and I'm sure you'll be in touch with Rod and,
If you have the check, were you gonna present that check tonight?
I have it right here, sir.
Oh, well then.
Mr. President?
well, let's get a
Well, it sounds like it's approved.
Photo op.
Maybe you'll,
picture.
yeah, photo op. Amen.
Send you right over here. Get a picture of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We like short presentations like that.
Okay, next up on the agenda are public comments. The public shall have the opportunity to directly address the board on any items of interest. Public comments on items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the board are welcome, subject to reasonable time limitations for each speaker. If you wish to address the board at this time, please state your name and lot number and reserve your comments to no more than 3 minutes so that others may be allowed to speak. No action will be taken. Each item of business will be introduced by the president. Public comment for that item will be open. The public will have the opportunity to speak on that item. Public comment for that item will then be closed, and no additional public comment will be allowed. At that time, the board will discuss the item and then take action. Does anyone wish to address the board at this time? I know one of you do, at least.
I thought it was on the agenda.
No, we're going to handle this through public comments.
So I'm up.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, now you can't gang up on it.
Oh, yes, we can.
Yes, we can, and yes, we will.
My name is Cheryl Bray, and I'm the publicity chair for the local blood drive here in Rancho Murieta. I'm represented by Sue Chomey, who is our publicity chair, along with Sue and I have done this for 4 years. We are retiring at the end of this year, and therefore we're very pleased to turn it over to Bonnie Kirschman, who's going to be the publicity chair, and chair, you're right, chair, and Pat Carroll, who will be a volunteer chair. So with that, I would like to give you a little history regarding the blood drive, which has been here in Rancho Murieta for 25 years. And it was started originally by Judith Embry, Fran Mendenhall, and Cheryl Langford Garrett. And in 1993, the Women's Club adopted the blood drive. So the Women's Club has had the blood drive now for 23 years. And the first 3 years, Sue and I were involved. We placed the red signs out on the property, outside of the gate, coming into the gate, going out of the gate, and we didn't have a problem with that. Then suddenly, this past January, I put the signs out, went to pick them up, and they weren't there. So I went to the gate, and they had been picked up by RMA, or by someone who representing RMA. April, we didn't have any signs out. In July, I appealed to Greg Foister here at RMA because there was a great shortage of blood. It was a severe shortage of blood. And he allowed us to put the signs out. That particular blood drive, we had 95 people who came to the blood drive. And out of 95 people, we had 3 who came to me directly and said, I was driving home from work. I came in the gate, I saw the sign, I turned around, and I came back to donate blood. Now, out of 95, there are 3 that told me. There could have been 5, 6, 8, 10, I don't know. But 3 told me. That's significant because 3 donations of blood, pints of blood, can save up to 9 people, and 3 teaspoons of blood can save a baby. That is significant. With that, we appealed to the RMA board in August. They suggested we go to the compliance committee in September, which we did. At that time, the compliance committee said they would send a letter as to the recommendation. At that time, I did not receive a letter, but I read about it in the River Valley Times. September 28th, that is when I learned of the decision. Needless to say, you can understand my frustration, our frustration. It was very upsetting. And with that, I understand that there are rules and regulations. As with the banners, I know you can put them up for 2 weeks prior to an event. And we're certainly supportive of Summerfest and all that it does. It's a nonprofit. But I will tell you, they have had a banner up for their food trucks for 5.5 months. They started in May, June, July, August, September. That is 5.5 months. Their banners have been up. We only ask for our signs, these signs, to be up for 6 hours a day for 4 days a year. These save people's lives. Summerfest is a wonderful event, but they don't save people's lives. And the food trucks are great for eating, but this saves people's lives. And if 3 people came in and told me last July that they came because of the signs, can you imagine how many other people came and maybe didn't mention it? And before we turn this over, I would like for those of you who are representing us to stand, if you would, those of you who came in response and concern for the blood drive. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. With that, I would like to, and I also would like to mention, I'm giving this up to Bonnie here shortly. I would like to mention that Cheryl McElhaney, who is out of the country, she emailed me and she indicated that she is for this, that she would vote for it. I don't know if someone absent has a vote, but I have an email from her. I'm happy to share that with you. I would also like to share with you that Sid Williams, and I have put that on your desk there. I know he contacted Tim yesterday. He did not hear back from Tim, but he is a veteran and he's very active here and he supports us 100%. So we enlist your support and your vote for helping save people's lives. And with that, Bonnie Kirschman, I would like to turn that over to you. Thank you.
Just a few words. It's very disappointing to find out that the Homeowners Association doesn't support this when every other entity in Rancho Murieta seems to. CSD puts our flyers into the statements to every member, every resident here. The country club puts our posters up. They put them in their 19th hole in their little table tents. The Catholic Church allows us to have the event there 4 times a year at no charge. And the merchants across the street support us with all of those. If the problem is that the signs are red, then we don't understand why the Boy Scouts sign that was black and orange was up for 3 days over the weekend. Yes, that's important also. It's a fundraiser. But to us, saving lives is much more important than that. And there's one more statistic. 1 out of 7 people that go into the hospital is in need of a blood transfusion. 7 of you on the board. I wonder which one of you will be the one who needs it.
If I could, thank you, Cheryl and Bonnie. Maybe I can save you a little time so you can get back and watch the baseball game. We have discussed this some, and I think I'm going to ask Sam to, well, let me explain a couple things. We sent you to compliance because the signs were picked up because they were out of compliance. And we have rules that we expect all our residents to follow. Now, we have another plan that I think may solve this. So, Sam, do you want to?
Okay, guys, thanks a lot for coming in, and we really appreciate the community support. The issue is not that we don't support this project that you have. I think it's wonderful. We all do. The deal was a sign was out of compliance, and that's how it really got started. Unfortunately, that's the problem is signage comes to ARC, which happens to be the committee I chair. This should have all been handled in the past somewhere, and I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just saying, in the past, if it had have come to ARC to get a variance to our sign rules, I'm quite sure it would have been approved. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it would be. And so here, I'm gonna offer it's out of order, we're not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna make a motion to the board that we give you a variance, a one-time variance for your blood drive that's coming up shortly, okay? So you can put your sign out, but you're gonna have to come to the Architectural Review Committee. We meet Thursdays, twice, the first and second Thursday of the month. You need to come in and apply for a variance to the sign rules. And it should start there all the time. And so, that'll solve your issue for this particular blood drive, but you're gonna have to come to ARC to get a variance. Okay? Does that sound reasonable to you guys? Because we're out of order sort of giving you a variance tonight. It's not an agenda item, and we're supposed to get it on the agenda for publication.
Okay, I just have a question, though. For the 3 years that we did put the signs up, that there was not a problem. I
There
don't-
wasn't a problem because nobody called you for being out of compliance. Okay? Had somebody, and somebody did, obviously, because somebody said, hey, that sign doesn't meet the rules when they were picked up. And so somebody made a complaint, and guys did what they're supposed to do. They went and got the signs and brought them, and we do that quite frequently.
Okay.
People put signs up and we get them. And, you know, the Boy Scouts put them out, nobody, again, they did not abide by the rules, if that's what occurred. And obviously it did.
Okay.
And so, I think we'll solve your problem for this blood drive. And if you'll come to ARC, I'll have Mark or somebody get in touch with you to set up a time, either Thursday or the following Thursday or something to.
Okay, I would appreciate having someone getting in touch with me.
Yes, somebody will be in
Okay,
touch.
because we didn't hear the last time, so.
And I'll answer that, Cheryl. Couple of things. I'll take full ownership. I don't know why, because I own compliance as the director. Why a letter wasn't sent to you, so I own that. I spoke to Sid once this morning because I don't think he butt dialed, but he misdialed. I spoke to Sid yesterday twice, so I don't know where the confusion is. And to your comment, ma'am, no one on the compliance committee doesn't support this. It just, there are certain rules, and it's not in the purview of the compliance committee to give variances. So please don't misunderstand that we don't like the sign, that the committee members or anybody else isn't supportive of this. There are just certain processes that good, bad, or different, were voted on by us that we have to enforce. So I'll be the bad person and say that I'm the one enforcing it, but it is what it is, and that's why we're where we're at.
I'll get him drunk later and beat him up.
I think the problem is we just didn't understand when it's been here for 25 years and these signs have been out for so long.
Well,
You know,
and-
that's why all of a sudden, why
So it's either
all of a sudden they
good
were taken
news-
down.
Right, and again, I have these issues in compliance where if something's been going on for 6 months or it's been going on for a year and it hasn't been taken care of and now we're addressing it, those are the exact same questions. So again, it came this route So here's the action that some of the board members are going to take.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Mr. President, I'll make a motion to, for a variance for the blood drive for this particular blood drive, to post their signs. They want to put out 2 signs apparently at the front gate, one on the Lago entrance and one on this entrance. So,
And the south.
a temporary variance for this particular blood drive.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to grant a variance for the signage for the blood drive. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you all for coming, and you're invited to stay for the whole meeting.
I wouldn't, quite honestly, I wouldn't.
We should have had this at at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that way you have an audience.
Yeah.
Hey, come back, we're gonna hold that motion till the end of our meeting.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the September 20th meeting. Can we get a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the meeting of September 20th. Are there any additions, changes? Hearing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been pointed out, where was that? Oh. Oh, yes, of course. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered routine and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of the items unless a director requests a specific item be removed. The items on the consent calendar are delinquent accounts receivable aging report, bank reconciliations, check register, escrows closed list, unaudited financial statements, investment portfolio report, and reserve study report. All these reports are for September 2016. Does any director wish an item be removed for discussion? Hearing none. Can we get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I so motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? And next up is the president's report.
And do the budget workshop minutes? Yeah.
Oh, the budget workshop minutes. Thank you. I'm discombobulated here. We have minutes for the budget workshop, which was conducted on October 5th. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the budget workshop minutes. Any changes? Deletions? Moved and seconded to approve the budget workshop minutes as submitted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, prior to the meeting tonight, we held an executive session. In that executive session, we approved the minutes of the prior executive session. We approved legal invoices, discussed legal issues, and discussed Contracts. In addition, we discussed the blood drive signage. And that concludes the president's report. Next up is the general manager's report.
The first two items deal with the retreats and the fact that they've closed the first unit of that development. I had previously sent a letter to Rancho North informing them that per the MBA, there'd be a joint compliance and joint ARC committee, and that RMA would be appointing representatives to those two committees to this meeting, and that we would we're requesting they also send the names of their representatives for these committees. And so the first recommendation is that the Board of Directors appoint Director Sam Summers to the joint Rancho North RMA Architecture Review Committee. This committee will have 5 members, and RMA will have 1 representative on that committee.
Is that a motion, or do we need
Yeah.
a motion?
I'll move it.
Need a motion to appoint, yes.
Also move.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to appoint Sam Summers to the joint Rancho North RMA Architecture Review Committee. Any discussion? Any objections to Sam?
That's the best we have, is send Sam.
Sam, did you agree to this?
I wasn't asked, but I guess it's, well, never mind, I'll serve.
Okay, any more discussion?
Can he go over there full-time and just work here half-time, you see what I'm saying?
Well, you can't double dip.
Oh, okay.
They pay more?
Yes.
I think they pay about the same thing we do. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Sam Summers to the Rancho North RMA Architecture Review Committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay, the second recommendation is that the Board of Directors appoint Tim Mabey and Judith Embry to the joint RMA Rancho North Compliance Committee. This committee will also have 5 members. It will be made up of 2 RMA members, 2 developer members, and then those 4 will select the 5th member of the committee. And the purpose of this committee will be to address violations that occur on RMA streets, RMA rules, by residents that live in the retreats.
Okay, so now we get to attack you.
Oh, yeah, I took the shots early. I knew what was coming.
I so move.
That was it?
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Because it doesn't get any better than Timmy.
Yeah, as we've seen by the crowd that just left.
You know how to clear out a room, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Tim Mabey
And Judith Embry.
and Judith Embry to
Yes,
the joint
Judith
North
knew before I did.
RMA Compliance Committee. Well, she'll keep you in line. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I have, Rancho North does not call theirs an architectural review committee. They call it
Or
something
the
else.
Design Review Committee.
Yeah, it's a design.
Yes. I don't know if we need to say specifically, but I guess,
We'll put ARC/DRC Committee.
okay.
Okay, the next item is approval of the 2017 budget and fee schedule. The proposed 27 budget increases assessments from 132 to 135 per member per month, which is a 2.27% increase. The following projects are included in the budget: to stripe the pickleball court at Stonehouse Park for $3,500, turf replacement at $25,000, a mower release for $6,900, and future projects in the amount of $44,972. The board had a goal-setting session where they discussed these goals and ranked them, and then they also had a budget workshop to discuss these items. The budget has also gone back to the Finance Committee, and they recommend approval of it.
So Martin, do you want to,
I'll move that we approve the budget and distribute it to the members.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the 2017, we're just doing the budget at this point, budget.
Should I bring it up to him? Should I bring
Any more discussion?
Not that I can say on the taped line here.
All in favor then, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
And then the second item would be the fee schedule.
Did we change anything in there?
The fee schedule, we just deleted, I think the fee for the pump track sticker might have still been on there, and then we took off the $100 fee for the landscape plans if they're doing drought tolerant plants.
Well,
Yeah, put a notation about that, yes.
yeah, okay. I move we adopt the fee schedule for 2017.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the fee schedule for 2017. Discussion? The community garden plots, is that $50 a year?
Yes.
And do they all become open every year, or
No,
do
we have
people?
people renew them. If somebody drops off, we have a wait list on the north. On the south, we have probably 2/3 of them are still available.
Really?
Yeah. I think on the backyard, people have backyards with fences that the deer don't get into, so they do their own gardening. Where on the north, it's more open, and I think people tend to want to use the gardening plots.
It's kind of become the Packer tickets on the north. It's going
Yeah.
from generation to generation. So.
Kind of like a Giants ticket on the south, so.
Yeah.
Do we need to increase the size of it?
I
Can
mean,
we-
you could, it definitely, they would
talked
use
about it,
them,
yeah.
yes.
Can we send north people over to the south?
We've suggested that, but
They won't go.
I think it's more of a social event on the north, so people want to stay on the north, yeah.
Yeah, there's that bridge you have to cross, you know. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor of approving the fee schedule for 2017, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good.
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Greg. And committee activities. First up is Finance Committee.
Yes, we met
Mr. Poe.
last Thursday, October 13th, approved the minutes of the last meeting. We reviewed a discussion from maintenance with regard to installing holiday lights at the north and south gates. We reviewed the proposal by Polar Lights to install and take down these lights for a fee of $9,169. The committee recommended approval of that with the idea in mind that they know this is going to be an ongoing cost to the homeowners association over the years if we continue to like the effect of these lights. And last year I think it was a hit, so we recommended approval. And we also reviewed the budget that was just approved, and we reviewed the financial statements. And that's it.
Thank you. Next up is the Architecture Review Committee. Sam?
Okay, the Architectural Review Committee met September the 15th and October the 6th, and we approved minutes, and we had driveway variances, we approved swimming pools, new residences, a shed in the roofing in the south. There were several swimming pools and 2 or 3 residences, and I have several exclusive use common area leases. I'll put those all in one motion. All of these are common area lease due to a change of ownership, and all of the fees have been paid through escrow. So my motion is to approve the approval of a common area lease for lot 172, lot 750, lot 1481, lot 1623, lot 1845, lot 1900, and lot 1983.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the change of ownership, lease agreements for lots 172, 750, 1481, 1623, 1845, 1900, and 1983. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And that's the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sam. Who's going to do communications?
Okay, we've got Brandon Fuller here from Greenfield. He's going to update the board on where Greenfield's at with their installations. And any other questions, I think he can answer those for you.
So as Greg said, my name is Brandon Fuller. I'm the new project manager over Rancho Murieta and the fiber that is being installed here. I will be with you every month to answer any questions that you may have concerning our progress and any concerns that anybody brings up. What we're focusing on right now actually is I have hired a few extra crew members that will be here throughout the end of the year. Before Halloween, our largest concern is all of the construction that we're doing, all the cables, all the PEDs, all on set. Today, we focus mostly around Lago. Every single PED has been reset. The caution tape has been reapplied. The cables that are on the streets are being taped down. Tomorrow, we're going to be going up into what we call Node 1, which will be this area right here, which is the western part of Puerto, also in Guadalupe, and then 4, and then 5. Now, Node 3 is completely done, which is this island here, which is Anillo to Reno. We're completely finished with installing fiber in that area. Everybody who is a customer of ours is turned on in that area. And so beginning Friday this week and into next week, we will actually be setting all of the pedestals and filling all the holes in that area, as well as finishing 6, which is this upper part, mostly at Playa del Rey, and we'll be setting PEDs there as well. Now, this area here, Via Sereno, we have 3 customers left. They've all been given plenty of time to switch over, and they're holdouts, so we're actually doing what we call a brownout, which means we shut them off. And when they call in to ask us why their television doesn't work, we go in and switch them over to fiber. The reason is any cables that are on the ground in Via Sereno, Via Cerrito, all of the holes that have not been filled in, all of the caution tape that needs to reset, that is all because a few customers haven't switched over, and that is actually a temporary system keeping them on. So by shutting them off, it allows us to completely roll up this area, fill it in. Domingo is the same way. We're completely done in Domingo. Domingo, we have, I believe, 9 customers that we're waiting on in Domingo, and we've given them a October 30th, actually, it'd be the 28th of October shut-off date that we will be filling in this entire area. And so again, this section and all of this should be completely filled in by the end of the year, which leaves from pretty much Rio Oso all the way down into Lago. All of Rancho Murieta is open to everybody in the community to have their fiber installed, so no matter where you live, call Greenfield Communications. We will put you on the roster to be installed. So there is no more waiting. Our biggest issue that we're dealing with right now is our drop situation, which means we have a hot fiber cable in front of every single home in the community. However, not all of the cables are pulled to each home in the community. All of those who are non-customers, if they have conduit that goes to their home and the cable will pull out easily, we are pulling them. All of those who possibly would need to be trenched because either the conduit doesn't exist, it's been compromised with, we have many of them that are cracked or broken, have dirt or rocks in them. When that resident, if ever calls us, then we will deal with those individual drops. I don't see us ever going and knocking on someone's door and telling them we're going to be trenching through your yard because you're not our customer. It's when they would sign up. However, those that are our customers, we are, I have a crew of 5 guys actually right now, and they're pulling about 8 drops a day, and we have around 300. That includes our non-customers, which would be about 116. So we have about 200 customers that we have still yet to pull a drop to their home, and that is not necessarily slowing us down at all. It is just something that we're still working at. So I don't know if you have any questions for me about this. Go ahead.
And I know, I thought we being the board or the communications committee, established timeline, but just for my point of reference, Brandon, what are some of the timelines, just so we can get it back out there, when you notify them that, hey, cable's ready? Are we giving them a half hour to make a decision, a day, 2 weeks? Or obviously, to me, it sounds like multiple weeks here.
Yeah, so right now, everybody who is, everybody's allowed to get fiber. It doesn't matter what house you're in. We have installs actually tomorrow on Lago, Guadalupe, and Northern Puerto. So we're good no matter where you're at. Now, if you're asking about the customers who are on
For the brownout, yes.
For the brownout, what that is we do 3 door hangers. So you have a door hanger that says your house is now ready for installation, and we'll hang it on your door. Then that generally, most people we have different personalities. We have a lot of people, as soon as they see it, they're on the phone immediately because they've been waiting for it. And those are always great. Then we have those who have to make time in their home schedule, their home life to do it, so that they'll last out a week. The next week, we'll put up our second door hanger. And the final and third one is an actual date of shutoff, which, so everybody on Domingo should have had one that says that you have until the 30th to go. Now, when the 30th happens, and we had this also in the South, was the same, if the 30th is their shutoff date, we'll actually come through on the 25th and just unscrew their current drop, which will black their house out. Typically, we do that first thing in the morning, around 9 a.m., and then turn it back on around 4 p.m. And so anybody who's at home instantly knows, and they're in their back on the day. Anybody who hasn't called typically will, if it's getting 3 days out, or if I see the schedule begin to fill up, so there is no more room to put them on, that is when we just shut them off, and they're out all night, and they generally call. But it's actually a 3-week to 4-week process for that entire span. And so we've had a few Saturdays that we've worked for some very special circumstances, or even some late nights, such as tonight, where we've got them in. We try to be accommodating. I'd never shut anybody off on a Friday. When they're getting shut off, it's typically a Monday or a Tuesday for the actual shut-off date. I don't think it's fair to all of the residents, we'll just keep talking about Domingo, to drive down the street, see all of the construction that is going on, and have to deal with it for months on end because I have some stragglers that don't want to get installed. Our largest issue is that even if you have been installed, if there are, let's say, 10 people down the street from you, the original cable system that they're running on runs through your yard, and we're unable to cut the old cable system out to set our pedestals. And so as long as, so anyone in Rancho Murieta, if you have cables going down your street, just please call, and that is a huge portion of getting it on. Now, besides that, one thing that we know is that a lot of our temporary cables, that they're not up to par. They're not exactly how we want them to work, and so we've actually actively calling the customers. Rio Circle is a perfect example. Rio Circle, we actually are actively calling anybody so that if you're having an issue with your system and you call Greenfield Communications because you're having pixelation on your television, when you call, Greenfield will set up 2 appointments for you. One, which would be tomorrow, our cable technician will come to your house and repair your system, or at least get it up and working again. But in 2 weeks or 1 week or whenever we have the opening, we will set you up as fiber. So anybody who is having the most problems with their system, most of it due to the temporary cable, we're trying to get them off of that right away. In addition, any areas where I see we have a cable going that is, and there's very few houses on there, we're actively calling those specific houses so that we can roll that piece of cable up. Perfect example is here on Guadalupe. There's let's say four or five houses. If you head west, and by getting those 5, it'll take a significant amount of cable off of the streets just by getting a few. So we have an actual attack plan for how to get the most with the fewest installs. And like I said, we're actively calling those. Then anybody who is a holdout, it's the same thing. If we have a high concentration of people that are installed, then those that we need to call and get them on, that's when we schedule a shut-off date for that specific street. So other than that, we are, like I said, the only splicing that we're still doing is essentially when we're running a drop to a specific home, we have to open up our splice enclosures and splice in. So you will still see our splice vans out there. You will still see our crew out there pulling drops and doing the pre-installs. But we're actually doing good. Like I said, and I'll say it one more time, is Halloween is coming, and our largest concern is the amount of kids that are running as fast as they can through everybody's yards. So we have actually toned down how many installs that we want to do because I have a huge amount of my crew just going and setting everything up. The large amount of caution tape you will be seeing through the neighborhoods in the next few days. It is Halloween that's coming up, so it somewhat blends in, but that is us working on that. So, like I said, I don't know if there's any questions here. Any other, just go ahead, Jim.
I've got both broadband and TV, and generally I'm happy with it. My question has to do with customer service. When I call the number in Southern California, I often don't get a very good answer. For example, I experience a significant drop in speed in the evening sometimes.
Okay.
And I do a speed test, and generally I get 20 like I'm supposed to, but it will drop down to 1 or 2, which knocks me off of Netflix or Amazon, whatever I'm streaming. And when I call, the only answer I get is it must be your fault, something in your house that's causing it. Well, not that I know of.
No, Jim, and if you and I'll talk and get your address later. So one of the main things is that we have the ability to shoot, it's called a TDR shot. It's a signal from our head-in all the way down to your very specific location and see if there is any fault. And anytime somebody is experiencing issues with their system, it is actually good to get that feedback, because I'm, like I said, unaware of where you live, and I'm unaware to fix the problem if I don't know about it. So I will actually talk to the call center in any anomalies such as this. We've actually had 2 today. We don't know about them until until we hear about them. So
So you're the first one to tell me that.
No,
they don't tell me that.
Because the thing is it very well could be in your house. It's an issue between our head-in and your router, somewhere in between, okay?
Yeah.
So the ability for me to check it all the way to the front of your home, okay? And then what I would do is I would discuss with you how often it happens. Does it happen at a certain time of day? And we can go through that, because there's so many different things. It could be as simple as the enclosure outside of your house isn't tight enough and your sprinklers come on at 9 o'clock at night and water is getting into it, or something. It could be anything. It could be a splitter that's in your house that needs to be replaced. And like I said, I'll get your address and we'll go through that. And we'll talk to the call center, and because my biggest concern, or my biggest concern with a brand new system is that we're putting houses on so fast that a lot of the times we don't know what's happening until 9 or 10 houses are experiencing the same problem off of one fiber. And so, and we have to like chase that. So with fiber, you actually have one piece of fiber that leaves our building and it splits to up to 32 homes. Now those 32 homes aren't necessarily clustered. They could be down completely different streets. So if I'm having an issue, let's say on Rio Oso, but I'm also having an issue on Ventana, they may be coming off of the same fiber from our building, and we have to get the different houses, put them on the map, figure out that they're all on the same location, a lot of times just to fish out where the issue is. And with splicing fiber, it is so, has to be perfect. Like if you put two fibers together, you can't have more than a 0.02, so a 2% variance when you put them together. So if it was a 3% variance, which is extremely small, you could experience issues such as like not getting HD channels, but all your other channels come in, your internet works perfectly, your phone works perfectly. And so very small things like that could affect the signal. And so like I said, I will talk to them, and I'm gonna, the ones that I do know about, I haven't heard of yours, okay? I'm sure that because of where you sit, they would have told me. However, like I said, we'll talk about that after. So
Sure.
And solve it, because you shouldn't. I mean, it's supposed, with fiber optics, it's 20, you don't have variances. I mean, you have variances extremely small, but the amount of people, 32 people on one fiber, everybody could have fiber 100 speed, and you still should not see a variance because it can push so much data so fast.
So if 32 people on the same fiber are all streaming at the same time, they shouldn't notice any droppage?
No,
in-
that's the pro. That's one of the pros of fiber. It's not DSL. It's not. That's one of the biggest things with AT&T and those who live in the South is they say, hey, we're so far away from the hub that our speed is terrible, and that's why we can push the speed all the way down there. And it is no different down there than it is up here on the speed and how many people use it because of that. So that's I mean, one of the great technologies. You know, I mean,
That's good to
It's
know.
always amazing to me. But
Thank you.
yeah.
To sum it up, I think he said it was your fault. I don't want him to repeat it, but I think
It's your neighbor.
I think he
plugged
said it
into
was
his
your
house.
fault, but don't ask him to go over it.
Well,
And like I said, I will be here also next month, and if you guys do have any questions concerning anything, I know Greenfield is looking at me coming here versus coming to the communications meeting, but anytime that any of you have any questions that you want to bring up before this, just feel free to get hold of me.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's your guess as when you'll completely turn off the old system?
When the last person
No, I mean date-wise.
What's that?
Give us an estimate of the date when you think that'll be turned off.
It really comes down to a lot of things. Like 3 of our 12 installs today were non-customers who are now customers. So we have a lot of that. Now I know that all the splicing, if I have, the biggest thing on speed is the drop situation, is bringing drops to everybody's house. I have several houses where the cold joint in their sidewalk, we need to cut it out or dig under their sidewalk to get them fiber. There's so many small projects like that do take time. So my hope is that we're going to be done by the end of 2016. Okay, that's my personal goal, is 2016 being done. It is physically possible as long as everything is going smoothly as it is right now. In addition to, we will have people who come in January that are stragglers. We had that last year when we were in what's Node 7, that would be De La Cruz, De La Pena, who they're gone for a significant amount of the holidays. And so when they come back, they are like, everything has changed. Now that is to get everybody on. Now filling all of the holes in, and that will be going on into January, because like I said, until the last person's on, I have to have a lot of the electronics still out there. So and once again, if you are still on the old cable system and you don't like your pixelation every time somebody drives over the cable, please call us. We'll get you installed. So it is first come, first serve on that as well. So.
Jim, let me come to your rescue for a second, and please stay at the mic for a minute.
No problem.
For me to talk a little more intelligently, based on my limited knowledge of your system, What's the box called that's outside the house that,
That would be the ONT.
is that a router or a modem?
It's an ONT. Essentially, coax and phone is copper system.
Sure.
Copper runs on electricity, so essentially if your light switch is on, it would be a 1, and if your light switch is off, it's a 0.
Sure.
And fiber is glass. It runs on light. There is no electricity on it whatsoever. So your light switch on is light, your light switch off is 0. And
So what do you reference when you refer to that box?
that's the ONT is what we call it.
Okay.
Or the actual box itself is the enclosure. Inside of it is a basically like a motherboard, a computer panel that has to be powered by electricity because the signal goes into it with just light, but it has to be turned into an electrical signal to run on your
Sure,
copper lines
sure.
in your home. So that's what that does. It transfers it from fiber to copper.
Here's my solution for you, Jim. I experienced something that you described when I was first hooked up, and I would have really good modem speeds at times, and at times I would have nothing. And I called, and I would have technicians come out, and they would continually tell me it was the modem or the box inside.
Okay.
The-
Is yours inside? Yours is inside? Or, no.
I'm not talking about your box. I'm talking about mine that's inside the house. And I kept telling him, well, this is the third one. I keep buying new ones every time you tell me there's something wrong with it, and I still have the problem.
Okay.
So what they found was that when they originally installed the box on the outside of the house, which is full of these really fine spaghetti wires, when they closed the door, it pinched one of the fiber wires.
Completely possible. Yeah.
But it took me like 3 weeks to convince them it wasn't my equipment that was causing the problem. No one would bother to open the box and recognize that. So,
Well, there's
I mean, but again, that could be something similar to what Jim's problem is.
It very well could be.
And so you might be getting a good signal to that box, which is what they kept running. But then if you go into my house and try the signal, you realize it's not coming to my router, right? Or my modem.
Of course. Yeah, and actually, in your house, depending on if you're running on coax or Cat5, we could actually hook a laptop up to it and try to test it. Unfortunately, the biggest issue with any kind of testing is if you have intermittent issues, where when I get to your home, it works absolutely perfectly. There's no way to actually test that. But if it's not
And
working...
90% of the time it would.
Yeah, if it's not working. Now, the thing is, too, is that some of our technicians that work inside are actually not... they don't do any of the fiber outside, and they're specifically told, do not touch it because it is so fragile. And at the time of install, if your fiber breaks, it does take us a while to have a splicer take all of his fire. It's like a pile of spaghetti, the glass off his lap, put it all away, rush to a home, splice it back up, and then go back out to the field and get started. So we specifically direct them not to mess with that box once it's installed. But to your point, if you're not getting it inside and I can see it outside, then it should be easy to chase. So, but with any system, when we're putting it in, it's like I said, I do want to know about the problems, as well as any issues that anyone has with the system. Please let Greenfield know, and I will also talk to them to get them more of a heads up.
Bar's gonna be closed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Between computer backups and photo uploads to the cloud, or just simply working from home, upload speeds are becoming just as important as download speeds. Will Greenfield ever offer a symmetrical fiber package?
Yeah,
Upload and download is the same?
yes, we can offer symmetrical. Just the price points that we have everything's non-symmetrical. We have 20 down, 10 up, 50 down, 25 up, and 100 down and 50 up. I have actually one customer already who's looking for symmetrical 100, 100, and he specifically, we are tailoring a custom plan for him. And if that's something that you want to, when you call Greenfield, just say, can I get symmetrical 100, 100? And they would also be working on tailoring that for you as well. So it is possible. The technology that we have here does not limit us to half speed. However, when the fastest internet you have on your upload here is 3 and you go up to 50, it is obviously, it's there's not much call for it. And like I said, it's not, most people are happy with 20 and 10 because it's faster than anything that ever existed here, and that's our slowest speed. So if symmetrical is what you're looking for, just call Greenfield. And like I said, our technology does not limit us putting it in, but we don't have any specific package that is made for that. And so without putting you at a business class level, which is out of most people's price range, like I said, we'll work with you on that. So.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And
Yeah.
maybe you guys can add that to the list, call us for.
Yeah, and
The letter
yeah,
maybe.
and most of it is like I said, is just custom. I mean, because some people may want a gig to their home. We could offer gig to a house, but it just depends on how far the house was away. If the original fibers that we put in will handle it, our technology will handle it, but it possibly may require a lot of additional splicing, and we would have to add that into the cost, of course. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
It was a very informative presentation.
No problem. Thank you.
Wow. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but if it works, I'm in.
It's the tubes and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on communications? Okay, let's go to compliance. Tim?
Wow, I'm not going to sound anywhere as intelligent as that last conversation. We met, when did we meet? October 3rd. We had a couple of appeals, and quite honestly, one of the appeals did not go all that well. The concern that I'll share with the board members, without going into great detail, is one of the residents felt he needed to make some comments to other residents about how the committee handled or their presentation. Again, if he doesn't care for how I run the committee, that's one thing, but don't attack the committee members. With that said, you can see where we have a handful of consent for no fine violations, a lot of speeding, a lot of property maintenance, excuse me. And then we have a handful of consent for $100 fines, and then one for $200 and one for $300 as well. And I thought, and Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we had some discussion in compliance about the Joint Safety Committee. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, we brought up some concerns to CSD security chief to start looking at, and again, if you remember, Martin volunteered for that joint security meeting. So we're trying to.
Yeah, I did.
So we're trying to get one before the year's out so Martin can name his replacement, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Tim.
Was I wrong on that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Next up is maintenance committee. Larry.
Yeah, the maintenance committee met October 10th, and we approved the minutes of the previous meeting. The items that were on our agenda this month were the Lake Comanche boat ramp, which we've already discussed at length, and I don't know, Rod, you want to add anything to the discussion here before we bring it up for a vote?
I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. I guess the only thing that I might add, because Tim brought it up, is the committee was concerned about priorities and when we might fit that in. So that's one of the things we'll certainly discuss at the next maintenance committee meeting is putting that list of projects, or maybe that was Jim that brought it up, putting that list of projects together, and some of those projects are certainly time sensitive, such as the boat ramp, because we certainly don't want to lower the level of the water when we can't pump water to fill it back up. So we want to get that done as soon as possible. But other than that, I concur with the fact that it's a hazardous situation. We've actually helped people get out of that lake by getting stuck going over the lip of that thing, certainly during the low water times.
I'm good.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $4,500 for the 20-foot concrete, 20-foot by 40-foot concrete ramp, and with the $500 from the fishing club applied to that $4,500.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the boat ramp extension at Lake Clementia in the amount of $4,500 with the $500 donation from the fishing club. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
We also have on the agenda, and there's some notes in your packet about the township, the townhouse landscape maintenance, which will eventually be a subcommittee of the maintenance committee that will address that issue of RMA's maintenance around the townhouses. That currently is on hold, and we're looking into some historical documents that will give us more guidance in the future about what we'll bring to the board. And that is the conclusion of the maintenance meeting.
Thank you, Larry. Anything on Midge-Fly Committee?
The Midge-Fly Committee did meet on September 19th, and I did report briefly about that meeting at our last meeting because it was the day before. And basically, everything is progressing as normal there. We will have one more meeting this month. I think it's next Monday, and we'll kind of try and wrap up most of the loose ends at that meeting because we're going to, if not adjourn completely, we're going to adjourn for the winter. Hopefully, we can just resolve any issues that come up next spring by communicating with CSD and this board.
Larry, refresh me, when is the first application going to be next year?
We have asked CSD to do 2 applications of the granular prior to the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th.
Okay, okay.
And that would be in preparation for a 4th.
Got it.
They should be about 6 weeks apart. I'm thinking they can actually move that. If they use granular, they can do 8 weeks. I think we get a little more concentration on the
we talked
granular.
about their budget cycle. Okay.
Yeah. They currently have $5,000 allocated for that, but we probably need about pretty close to $8,000 to put 2 applications in.
Okay,
So that's what we're going to work on through the winter with CSD.
perfect.
They're beginning their budget process for the 2017-18 in January. They will begin that process. But last year they found an extra end of the year funds, and that's what we're going to try and go after for the second application. And that's my report on the Midge-Fly Committee.
Thank you, Larry. Tim, do you have anything on parks?
No, the next meeting is November 1st at 4 o'clock here at Army.
And Recreation Committee, is your assistant going to handle that, or?
His lovely assistant.
And lovely and talented assistant, yes.
As a matter of fact. How many seats do we have on that? Because I know we've already sold out 2 buses. Okay.
Wow.
So we could make a lot of money if we had shopping in the area by not having to make the bus trip, right? No, I'm talking about clothing and Halloween.
Oh, see, I was thinking just to get them on the bus and then not necessarily going, but maybe I misunderstood the whole concept. I'm sorry. Yes. I do have the holiday lighting, so I don't know if it comes under.
Oh, okay.
Got to approve that.
What's that?
Deny
Yeah.
that,
I have it in.
Yeah,
Correct.
why don't you go ahead and,
Recommendation is to approve the bid for polar lights, amount $9,169 for installation and removal of holiday lights, Rancho Murieta North and South.
Second.
we moved and seconded to approve the bid of $9,169 for the installation of the holiday lights at the gates. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Anybody have anything else? Anything I missed? Our next Board of Directors meeting will be Tuesday, November 15th at 6:30. That will be followed on Thursday by the annual meeting of the members, and that will be at 7 o'clock right here.
The only other comment would be, I know this week ballots started going out, so please vote, get it in early. Don't vote often, but get it in early, please.
And we have voting incentives,
We do. We
valuable
have,
door prizes.
I know the last several years, for some reason, I've happened to won, them, but I believe this year it's a iPad Mini, no relation to the Mini Cooper, and a few gift certificate cards.
All expenses paid trip to Paris. Well, maybe not that, not this year. Okay, thank you very much for attending, and we are adjourned.